You've seen this in those reels on social media. One person approaches another on the street, usually a homeless person or someone begging, has a short conversation with them and then hands them what is obviously a large amount of cash. You see the stunned look on the receiver's face and you think, "Oh, that's so nice." This would normally be a genuinely nice deed, but you could sense that there was something about the way it played out, how the person giving the cash was acting, that this wasn't an altruistic deed at all. It was performed for the benefit of the camera, with the intention purely of garnering likes on their social media platforms. You could tell it was more about self-promotion than it was about a genuine helping hand. The warm feeling most other people would get seeing this leaves you, the neurodivergent person, with a distinct bad taste in your mouth, an annoyance, a betrayal, or a sense of injustice. Or have you ever watched someone from afar having a conversation and thought, "There's something phony about the way that person is acting. Maybe their hand movements or their laugh is over-exaggerated," and you feel something almost physical in your chest, a kind of quiet alarm that says to you, something is not right here. Most people notice inauthenticity occasionally. For many neurodivergent people, it is almost impossible to ignore. The common assumption is that neurodivergent individuals struggle to read social cues. The reality is more complicated, and for many, the opposite is true. What gets detected isn't missing, it is simply different from the official signal. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just why this heightened sensitivity to falseness develops, but what you can do with that awareness rather than being worn down by it. Social interaction for most people runs on two channels simultaneously. There's what is said, and there is what is actually meant. The tone, the timing, the micro-expressions, the way a smile doesn't quite reach the eyes. Most neurotypical brains learn early to accept the surface channel without too much scrutiny. The performance of friendliness is treated as friendliness. The gap between the two channels is usually small enough to ignore. For many neurodivergent people, that gap is impossible to tune out. Research into interoception, the brain's ability to sense internal states, suggests that many autistic individuals have heightened sensitivity to bodily signals that arise in response to social discomfort. Something in the body registers the mismatch before the conscious mind has named it. The gut tightens, the breath shortens. The alarm has already fired. The problem is not that the signal was missed. The problem is that it arrived too loudly. This is not simply about honesty as a preference. It is about the cognitive cost of processing contradiction. When someone says one thing and their body or tone communicates another, the neurodivergent brain often refuses to collapse those two signals into a single comfortable interpretation. It holds the contradiction open. And holding two conflicting inputs open simultaneously is exhausting. Every interaction where this happens demands more processing than it should. So the irritation that builds around inauthenticity is not moral judgment, it is fatigue. There is a deeper mechanism too. Many neurodivergent people, particularly those who went undiagnosed for years, developed highly detailed internal models of social behavior, not from intuition, but from deliberate analysis. They observed, cataloged, and reverse-engineered social norms that other people absorbed automatically. That process made them extraordinarily alert to deviation. When someone breaks from a genuine behavioral pattern, laughs a beat too late, compliments too quickly, maintains eye contact with just slightly more effort than the situation requires, the alert fires. Because someone who has learned the rules explicitly notices when the rules are being performed rather than felt. This is connected to a pattern identified in research on what is sometimes called the double empathy problem. The idea is that social difficulty between autistic and non-autistic people is not simply a deficit on one side, it is a genuine mismatch between two different social operating systems. Autistic individuals often communicate with a higher degree of literal accuracy and tend to expect others to do the same, When they encounter social performance, politeness that is strategic rather than genuine, enthusiasm that is deployed rather than felt, it registers as not social lubrication, but interference. It is a signal that does not match the expected protocol. What makes this particularly sharp is that many neurodivergent people have also experienced the specific pain of being misread themselves. They have been told their honesty was aggression, their directness was rudeness, their lack of social performance was coldness. They know what it is to have genuine feeling interpreted as its opposite. That history sharpens the sensitivity in both directions. Fakeness is not just uncomfortable, it is a reminder of a system that has repeatedly failed to read them accurately while they were reading everyone else. There is also something happening at the neurological level worth understanding. Certain forms of neurodivergence are associated with reduced latent inhibition, a process by which the brain learns to filter out information it has previously deemed irrelevant. Lower latent inhibition means more data gets through. Most people have learned to dismiss a slight inconsistency in someone's tone as noise. For someone with lower latent inhibition, that inconsistency does not get filtered. It stays in view. The brain tries to account for it, integrate it, make sense of it. And when the only explanation that fits is insincerity, that conclusion is hard to avoid. The frustration is not simply about other people, it is about what the detection costs. Because for all of the accuracy this sensitivity produces, it rarely comes with a socially acceptable outlet. Saying, "I can tell you don't mean that," in most social contexts is treated as an accusation. The neurodivergent person carries the knowledge and cannot put it down, and cannot name it, and has to continue the interaction as though the alarm has not fired. That particular bind, knowing something clearly and being required to act as though you do not, is one of the more specific and under-discussed exhaustions of neurodivergent social life. So what do you do with this? Two things are worth practicing, not as cures for the sensitivity, but as ways of working with it rather than against it. The first is the habit of naming the cost without assigning the motive. The internal experience, the alarm, the fatigue, the irritation is real and worth acknowledging. But the leap from "I detected a mismatch" to "that person is deliberately deceiving me" is worth slowing down. Some inauthenticity is unconscious, some is social programming so deeply installed that the person performing it is not aware they are doing it. The signal you receive is accurate, the story you build around it may not be. Keeping those two things separate protects the accuracy without letting it harden into suspicion. The second is learning to weight your environment, not just individual interactions. If a social setting or a relationship consistently fires the alarm, that pattern is information. Not every environment where this happens is the right one to keep explaining yourself in. The sensitivity that exhausts you in one context is the same sensitivity that makes you unusually good at spotting genuine people, genuine connection, and genuine work. That is worth protecting. Have you ever watched someone perform kindness and felt annoyed, an alarm you couldn't quite name? Now you know what it is and why it arrived before the words did.